Now, I would like to tell you that every time you approach a customer, they're going to say yes and they're going to buy your product or service. But you know I'd be lying, and that's not reality. The reality is that you'll most likely get a lot of no's before you get a yes. But that's what selling is. Again, it just takes time, and the law of averages eventually kicks in where if you ask enough people, somebody's bound to say yes. But I never really liked that example or that analogy, so let me give you a better one based on a real-life experience I went through. Many years ago, I worked for a company that manufactured torpedo systems, right? And in this torpedo system that we designed, it had an interesting programming, and I want to share that with you. The way the torpedo works is that you launch it from a ship or drop it from a helicopter. As soon as it hits the water, it begins to make a circular pattern. And no sooner than it starts making that circular pattern, the sonar system turns on. What's the sonar system? You know that ping, ping you hear? Well, basically what it's doing is it's emitting a sound, right? It emits a sound. The sound will go out underwater, and then it will bounce off an object and come back. And then the torpedo will analyze the reflection, so to speak, the outline, the silhouette of that sound wave. And what it's looking for is the silhouette, the profile, so to speak, of a submarine. Now, what happens is that the torpedo sometimes will think it has the submarine locked in, and it'll start moving in that direction. It'll continue to ping, 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 and as it gets closer, it defines the object more. It gets more resolution, gets more definition, and maybe it gets so close that it goes, this is not a submarine, it's an underwater rock formation. It's not what I'm looking for. It will then break off the attack, go back into its circular pattern, and again, ping, 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 go off in another direction, and maybe as it gets closer to the next object, it realizes it's a school of fish. It'll break off the attack, and then what it'll do, it'll come back and then go after another object. And once it goes after another object, what will then happen is that maybe that's not the target either. But here's something interesting about the torpedo, that every time it goes after something, every time it goes after an object, if it isn't what it wants, it reprograms itself. It updates its database, its programming. So if it goes after something, it's a rock formation, it now knows that anything that looks like that, it shouldn't go after. Then it'll go after a school of fish. And after a while, it realizes it'll never go after a school of fish, and it'll update its programming. It begins through every iteration, every failure, so to speak, it learns, it gets smarter. Now, why is this important to you in terms of maintaining a positive mental attitude? Because that's what selling is. You're going to go after something. You're going to have to go after a customer. And you think they're going to say, yes, you did everything right, but you're going to go after and they're going to say no. Now, if you're a quitter, you're just going to say, I'm going home. But if you're like the torpedo, what you're going to do is go after something. The customer says no. What I want you to do is update your programming. Kind of do a self-reflection, self-analysis of what could I have done better. How could I get smarter based on this failure, so to speak? And it's not really a failure, it's just an iteration. Then, when you go after the next customer, same thing happens. Maybe they say no, but guess what's going to happen? You self-reflect, self-analyze, and you become smarter. And after a while, what's going to happen, what will naturally happen, after so many failed attempts, you'll start getting really smart and get very good at what you do in terms of selling. Get the idea? I want you to keep this analogy of the torpedo in your mind when you're out there selling. Instead of kicking yourself for them saying no, just calling yourself, well, I'm too stupid, I don't know how to sell, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. That's not what you should be thinking. What you should be saying is, okay, what can I do better? How can I improve? What do I need to do? Get the idea? That's what you need to do. And then you go after the next target. And again, if the same thing happens, how can I get better? What do I need to do? What do I need to improve on? That's what the ideal salesperson does. Get the idea? That is maintaining a positive mental attitude. So as you go through your process of selling, ask yourself, am I doing the right thing? Analyze, right? As you're going through your presentation process, maybe you need to ask better questions. Maybe you need to educate them, provide more insight. Maybe you need to position the pricing better. Whatever it may be, you'll get smarter with every attempt and every iteration. That is the mindset you should have. I want you to be a torpedo, go after success, and every time it doesn't work out, update your database, your brain, your programming, and just get better. Let's go to the final audio in the series and do a quick summary of everything we've discussed.